beautiful sunsets.
There's 2 guys in the water. You're gonna run them the hell over.
Getting chased off of a bridge.
We're doing a little spearfishing this morning.
Talking to the Coast Guard.
Yeah, he was kind of crazy, dude. You know, I didn't think there was any rules right now special about that that I knew of. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Getting shrimp at Joe Patty's. What to talk about in this video? I mean, this day was so full of stuff. I know. Let's talk about the super pyramids. Let's talk about some of these artificial reefs that we're diving. So where we're at, we don't have natural structure. I mean, we do have some live bottom, but we got to go really, really deep for it, and that's really a depth that we're not entirely comfortable spearing at yet. So most, if not all, of the structure that we spearfish is going to be an artificial reef. Now these reefs can range from anything from jetties or a barge or bridge rubble to super pyramids. And in this video we're going to talk about some super pyramids. Hunting these reefs it's about like hunting any other artificial reef, where the fish will kind of stack up in the water column. You know, these things are about 10 feet high. Some of the shorter ones are, 4 or 5 feet off the bottom. With how fish stack here, you're gonna have your grouper on the bottom, and more than likely your sheep's head are gonna kind of be all up and down. We've seen sheep's head at the top of the structure, in the middle of the structure, at the bottom of the structure, in the structure, under the structure, over the structure, every which way around the structure. Trigger, on the other hand, seem to be more towards the top of the structures, top to middle. We don't really typically see them that much towards the bottom. They tend to stick towards the tops. Red snapper actually tend to sit kind of higher in the water column, almost from midway all the way to above the structure. And another species that we will see sometimes are AJs or Almacos. And again, those tend to stick higher up in the water column. You don't really see them on the bottom. You see them more midway towards the top of the actual structure. Whenever it comes to things like Spanish, they'll kind of be wherever. They could be at the surface, they could be in the middle of the water column. I don't really think that we see them much closer towards the bottom. It's mainly towards the middle or the top of it. And sometimes we will drop flashers. Sometimes we will do things like that to try and get them to move up into the middle water column, just so that way we know exactly where they're at. We don't have to worry about going all the way down to the bottom to get them. This was our first weekend going out for some trigger. Trigger had just come into season, but the weekend that they had actually came into season was pretty rough outside, so we didn't go out into the Gulf. So we waited, and this weekend we went out. So we decided to hit the pyramids because they're pretty close to shore, they're pretty easy to get to. We don't have to run a forever long way to get to them. And there's several of them next to each other. So it's pretty easy for us to kind of pyramid hop, where we'll hit one, check it out real quick. If there's really nothing there, go to the next one, hit it real quick. And we'll just kind of move around with the iPilot. And of course we'll have, Michael or Melissa on the boat, so that way we can just hold onto the ring off the back and they'll take us to the next pyramid. We can see the shadow from the surface, so once we get over it, we are breathing up the whole way. As soon as we get over this new pyramid, one of us takes a dive. If I'm following with the camera, then I'll take the dive with them. And then of course the third person's up there on the surface as a safety. So in this video, this one's kind of a little weird. So like I said earlier, with how many different species that we have on this, Bennett goes down and he lines up on a pretty good sized sheep's head. Now, we'd already had a few sheep's head in the boat already at this point, and we'd already gotten a trigger limit, and we were just trying to get a couple extra fish. So Bennett goes down and he's using a Pathos Snyper 75 centimeter double banded, and he takes a rather long shot for this gun. And when he takes the long shot, you can see that right here, the sheep's head moves out of the way. It has enough time to react. And it actually ends up hitting a mangrove snapper right behind it. And I mean, it was a good shot on the mangrove snapper. The mangrove snapper stuck and we were able to get it up to the boat. that's one thing that we kind of have to worry about here with how fish cling to a single piece of structure, is that we have to be very, very mindful of the fish that is behind the fish that we're trying to shoot. Whether it's a legal fish, whether it is a in-season species, whether it's a protected species, all of this other stuff. So Bennett did in fact get lucky on this, in that when he missed the sheep's head, he hit a legal mangrove behind it. But in some of our other videos, you'll see us aiming at a fish for a long time, and while that is to get a better shot, it is also to make sure that the fish in front of and behind it are clear. So I'm gonna throw this video in here, and Bennett, say whatever you want. You even say it in the video. We are gonna make fun of you so hard whenever you had this missed shot. You already know which video I'm talking about. But Bennett's not used to pole spears, especially used to pole spears that's not his. He's actually using my pole spear in this, which is an evolved pole spear. And because he's not used to it, because he is not used to the handling of it or, you know, anything like that, he completely blew this shot. He botched it so bad. I can't believe he did this. And so I'm just gonna let the video play and speak for itself, and listen carefully to what Bennett says whenever he surfaces.
Wow. Wait till you see that miss. You're gonna make fun of me so bad. Oh my God.
I'm going to show you two videos. Now the first one, you'll see me actually try and shoot a sheep's head, and I thought I missed it. And whenever I go back and look at it, I had actually skimmed the top of its head. Well, later on in the day, we were diving the pyramid next to the one where I shot at that sheepy, and I lined up on a fish that had a little white mark on its head. And you know, whenever you see a fish with a differing mark than normal, it kind of draws your attention to it. So I shot him and got a really good shot on him, got him up to the surface, and I remember handing it to Michael and saying, like, you know, man, this fish looks like it's been grazed or hit or something. It almost looks like it's been shot recently or shot at recently, maybe in the last day or two. And he's looking at it and he's like, man, you're right, it sure does. And we kind of just, you know, let it go, didn't really think anything of it. But then going back watching the videos later on that night, I realized I did hit the sheep's head in the first shot. I actually skimmed it, and I thought I completely missed it. But no, I actually skimmed it, and it kind of bounced off of its skull, and then and it swam off. And at the next pyramid, I ended up seeing it again, not realizing it was the same fish. And whenever we were sitting in the restaurant watching that, David was like, man, well, that's one hell of a recovery. And he's right. I cannot believe that I ended up shooting the same fish an hour and a half later on a different pyramid.